Well, the ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee, Reverend John Fojo, is sounding the alarm bells over what he describes as a declining morale among security personnel stationed in Bawku. Speaking on PM Express, the Assin South MP revealed he is in possession of audio recordings in which some officers express fear for their lives due to the worsening security situation in the area. His concerns are reinforced by a leaked wireless message from the Ghana Police Service, which paints a grim picture of the situation in Bawku and surrounding areas in the Upper East region. Police personnel and their families have been banned from traveling to the area due to growing threats, with the personnel now becoming target. The Inspector General of Police, in that leaked wireless message, also directed that officers already deployed in the area must wear protective gear and be escorted by armored vehicles during operations. Latif Idris rejoins now with details of the content of that police wireless message. Latif, what more can you tell us?
This is painting a rather dangerous situation within the Bawku enclave. I mean, per this directive by the police administration, I'll quickly read through it. It says, ban on movement of personnel to Bawku. The police administration has observed a dangerous development in Bawku and its environs. Personnel and their families have become targets in these areas by unknown persons. The directive is that ban on personnel traveling to Bawku with immediate effect. And this is highlighted. The ban on personnel traveling to Bawku with immediate effect. The further directs movement of personnel, both indigenes and non-indigenes, including their families in Pusiga and Binduri, is banned. Personnel deployed on duties in these areas should ensure they put on appropriate PPEs and are under armored escorts, except for strict compliance. And it's ended by saying, treat this with urgency. By this directive, Garu can also be dangerous, so all should take note and comply. This is the statement, and is signed by J.W. Darrison for the regional commander in the Upper East region. Kojo.
Quite a situation there, but we can now hear from the ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee, Reverend John Fojo. He is raising serious concerns about a declining morale among security personnel deployed to Bawku and its environs. He says he has audio recordings of officers expressing fear for their lives as the security situation worsens.
But there's another concern that that is quite worrying. That has to do with the morale of the men in uniform on ground.
You think their morale? You think their morale has been shattered?
It's one very unfortunate observation. So here, I applaud the IGP, Mr. Christian Tatayohunu, for the very bold and brave, timely visit to the conflict zone and interacting with some key stakeholders and taking opportunity to also motivate the men. After that, we've had some videos purported to be coming from security officers, police officers in the zone. When you hear, I have had the opportunity to hear about 10 of such. It is really worrying. You can tell clearly people are in fear. Even security officers are in fear. And you hear guns being shot close by. They are dwelling around police stations, you know, the sound of guns and all these creating.
Well, the Assin South MP says, among others, the government should consider declaring a state of emergency in Bawku to address the crisis.
I think it is time for that action to be exacted so that further escalations will be seized, because we need a state of calm for the tune for mediation to gain grounds. And therefore, if I would have, my first choice would have been for the parties involved themselves to heed to our appeal, to exercise restraint and to have calm and to refrain from reprisal attacks. They themselves are able and they're capable. They can do it on their own.
However, not everyone agrees with this approach. National Coordinator of the Ghana Office of the West African Network for Peace Building, WANEP, Albert Yeliang, says declaring a state of emergency may not be the right move.
I think that at the moment, there shouldn't be the need for a state of emergency. We need to have high deployment. We need to have the security working very closely with some of the individuals, even within Bawku, and civil society can support, the security agencies to be able to identify where the supply chains are, and the flow.
Well, back in this view, Vice Chair of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, Peter Lancheni Tobu, argues that such a move could worsen the already volatile situation in Bawku.
It's happening in Bawku now. State of emergency immediately will not be, it wouldn't bring us any positive results. But I believe that the people of Bawku need to know that what is happening is bad. The peace process is on. The police, out of professional errors, believe that they can get better. And the police will demonstrate to the people that we are impartial. And in the impartiality, if there is a professional error, don't treat it as if we are just bad people and we are here to be part of the faction. No, we are not going to join any faction. We are in here to create a buffer zone, prevent escalation of the conflict, and ensure that the peace process is run to the middle so that we'll begin to see results. So I don't support any
state of emergency.
There is also a looming healthcare crisis brewing in Bawku as medical doctors flee the area or reject transfers entirely, choosing joblessness over staying in a conflict zone that continues to claim lives. Health workers and teachers are all living on the edge. President of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Frank Sebo, says the situation is dire, with more and more doctors fleeing and few willing to take their places.
A lot of our doctors in Bawku currently are working under extreme emotional stress and fear. And if you speak to them, you realize that most of them are not themselves. And they will tell you that their output has really gone down. So what is happening is that for some of them, even going to work is a problem. So absenteeism is something that is very much rife. And a few of them have decided to leave. So we have some who have left and they are currently in Accra and Kumasi and they are refusing to go back. What is also happening is that there are some of them who are in administrative positions and they are unable to enforce any discipline. So, for example, if a worker doesn't come to work and you decide that you even want to take disciplinary action against the worker, the next day your photograph is plastered all over and you are threatened that if you don't take care, you'll be the next target.
Wow.
We've had doctors whose homes have been raided and riddled with bullets, and so they have to seek police protection. So it is not easy at all. And as you can see, other people are moving out, and so are the doctors. And now people are refusing to accept postings to Bawku. In the past, Bawku used to be one of the places where, regardless of even the issues with the fact that doctors were not accepting postings to the northern regions, they were a place that was quite attractive for doctors to go to. And so Bawku had no challenge with medical personnel at all. But recently, nobody's agreeing to accept any postings to Bawku. Those who are there are leaving, and those who are even there working are working under extreme fear, and they fear for their lives. I had calls to even had a discussion with the minister recently, telling him that there's a need for us to look at pulling some of the people who are so much afraid of their lives out of the danger zone and sending them to places where we believe they can be safe.
Quite a dire situation in Bawku and its environs. Let's go on the phone lines now and speak to security analyst Professor Kwesi Ening for more expert insight into the security dynamics. Prof, I'm grateful to you for joining. I mean, in your view, does the ban on officers' movement reflect a tactical security measure or a deeper failure in the state's ability to control the situation?
Well, I think it represents both.
Okay.
First, we need to protect the men and the personnel of the Ghana Police Service and the extended security services. But secondly, by ceding ground, it sends a signal to those who are wielding these powerful guns and their backers that the state is beginning to cede ground, which is an extremely dangerous, slippery slope to losing total control.
But what signal really does this send to the public and the armed factions when police officers and their families are banned from traveling to Bawku? Does it send a message of state retreat in this circumstance?
I mean, that's what I've said. It sends a signal that the state is on a dangerous, slippery, downward slope to losing control. Now, in conflict or violent situations, when those who carry arms and seek to challenge the authority of the state can smell that the state and its security services are retreating, that gives them a tactical victory. But it is important that the Republic of Ghana goes back in a credible manner to recover the grounds lost. But you see, we've been dishonest with ourselves for a very long time. Our risk assessments and analysis have been utterly disgraceful and bogus. Those who need to take the necessary decisions to prevent this conflict from turning into an intractable one ought to be ashamed of themselves. And let me give you two examples of why we need to change our thinking. First, His Excellency the President was giving some assessments that made it think that his presence in Bawku will spur on the peace process. Okay? And I'm looking forward one day to seeing the assessments that his advisors used and the conclusions that they drew that put the life of the president in danger. The second is the powerful weaponry, military-grade weaponry in the hands of ordinary criminal actors. Because if you look at the bullet in the IGP's bulletproof vehicle, it just shows the power of the weaponry being used. Okay? So what this signal says is that one, we need to protect the men and women who are there, personnel, who are also protecting the wider citizenry. But because those who are fighting don't know the 4 Geneva rules around warfare, the police officers and all uniformed personnel have become legitimate targets. And every single statutory security personnel who is killed or wounded gives these guys an edge to fight more. Let's not forget that they are not fighting according to the rules of war. But unfortunately, the police officers and the soldiers cannot just go shooting anybody. Okay? So they are at a slight disadvantage. And therein lies the sensibleness of this, signal. But the bottom line is simple. We cannot continue to do things as we have always done. Otherwise, you and I will be having this conversation next year.
Yeah. And we've had it over the years. Declaration of, curfews upon curfews each year, still not solving it. But what do you also think about the calls for the declaration of a state of emergency?
Those are all very lazy interventions. So you declare a state of emergency, then what? Then what happens?
All right.
We've declared curfews for 30 years. No, let's not be lazy. We have people who have been paid for and trained by taxpayers' money. Let them get off their butts and do the work. And I'm imploring Mr. President to ask his people to get off their backsides and bring order to Bawku. Because Bawku is no more a crisis for a medium-sized town.
All right.
It's a Ghana crisis. It's a West Africa-wide crisis.
I'm grateful to you.
Not allow it to continue. Thank you.
I'm grateful, Prof, for joining us here. Away from that, Amnesty International has called on the mayor of Kumasi, Ofori Agyemang, to retract his recent comments suggesting that traders who defy the city's pavement trading ban will be flogged. First, have a listen to the mayor.
I have my own democratic military style, which I'll be implementing. When we say leave this space, and you don't leave this space, and I get there, I am not lucky, and my boys are with me. There and then, we'll beat you. There, in the middle of a doom. If you're not lucky, if I'm alone, you'll be lucky. But if I'm there, and my 10 boys are in their pickup with me, with their hips, trust me, we'll beat you. If you don't want to experience that kind of situation, do that which is right and which is lawful. This is Otumfuo City.
Now, Amnesty International has described the mayor's remarks as deeply troubling and a violation of the basic right and dignity of citizens. In an interview with JoyNews, board chairman of Amnesty International, Francis Nyamtechi, emphasized that no authority should promote violence or corporal punishment as a method of law enforcement. Mr. Nyamtechi stressed that such rhetoric not only undermines human rights, but also risks inciting abuse and brutality by state actors or members of the public. Francis Nyamtechi is he's been speaking, on this particular matter. He's joining me live now for some more. Grateful to you, sir, for joining. But, what specific actions do you think the mayor can implement to deal with the issues in Kumasi as he's talking about?
Good evening for having me. I think the first step to do is to look for satellite markets and then set the platform for these traders to have a place to do their work. We have already said no businessman wants to be lawless. If you look at Kumasi and the market situation, you realize that almost the major market centers have been closed down. And so the lack of space for these people to do their legitimate job has actually pushed them into the streets.
Okay.
And this space has been closed by government and its agencies. It was not closed by these innocent traders. And so the KMA, the Ashanti Regional Minister, and all the stakeholders involved should find space for these people to do their legitimate business.
Okay.
If you fail to do that and you say that you are going to evict them, that is inhumane. But also to act that you are going to assemble your men to take the laws into your hands and to punish them the way you want means that the KMA boss is now the arresting officer, is the prosecutor and a judge.
Okay.
Clearly undermining the rule of law of the Republic of Ghana.
Okay.
And the very person expected to uphold the rule of law, if seen to be undermining same, is troubling.
And if he doesn't apologize and retract, as you are requesting, what does Amnesty International plan to do?
Well, we will definitely do engagement with the relevant stakeholders.
Okay.
But I think as citizens, the right to protest is part of our right. And if the mayor decide not to, I will encourage the traders and we will support them in every means, especially to protest against. What he has said actually has emboldened, and it will embolden the city guards. And should any city guard violate any trader, the KMA boss should be the one to be held responsible.
Okay.
And I think that the state should not renege on its effort by calling and bringing this mayor to order.
And to order, what exactly do you mean? You want him sacked?
Well, it's one of the options. I'm not the appointing authority, but I expect the president to take decisive steps to serve as a deterrent to other MCEs and his appointees. Okay,
I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Now, let's still stay in Kumasi because the Chief Executive Officer of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, Richard Ofori Ajman Bodi, has declared the Assembly's resolve to kill and feed stray cattle to the prisons and other charity institutions. There is a tough measure to deal with a long-standing menace of stray cattle roaming in major streets of the city. Nana Ojima was at a news conference earlier and has come through this report.
At the Asokwa traffic light in Kumasi, about 15 cattle attempt to cross the road unsupervised. They obstruct traffic flow, even though the lights show green signaling vehicles to move. A driver, Alex, describes how he nearly ran into some cattle attempting to cross the road.
Free ahojo edeba castle.
I was moving from Ahojo to Castle with my children. From nowhere, a cattle ran into the middle of the road. Fortunately, I spotted it early, so I applied the brake. It was very close.
In the Oforoko municipality, the top high traffic light has gradually become a safe haven for cattle who have come out to graze. By the local assembly's bylaws, persons with authorization by the KMA can arrest cattle found at large without any supervision by a public person. It bans the keeping of such animals outside premises of slaughterhouses. The bylaws further indicate the animal will be released to the owner after payment of fees involved in the arrest and maintenance of the animal. The owner's refusal will lead to sale of the animal at a public auction after 10 days. But the Kumasi Mayor, Richard Ofori Ajiman Bwedi, is suggesting another means of dealing with the challenge.
If you're a cattle owner and you have cattle and your cattle stray and they are coming into the vicinity of KMA, they can go to any assembly. That's not my headache. If they are coming into the domain of KMA, be rest assured that from the 1st of May, those cattle will be killed and be given to the Kumasi Central Prisons for feeding.
The previous administration of the city was unable to implement the bylaws, citing financial reasons. The administration was unable to reach payment terms with persons to be used in the arrest of the cattle. But the new city mayor insists all the necessary arrangements have been made to implement his new directive.
So who to catch them I've identified. What is now left with KMA to provide us with a vehicle, and I'm sure my managers will find a vehicle for us. So who to do the catching we have, who to make use of the cattle we have, so we'll then have to look for a vehicle.
For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Child prostitution, drug abuse, counterfeit operations, and suspected human trafficking. That is what the Joint Task Force of Military and Forestry Commission personnel discovered deep in the Subri River Forest Reserve in the Western region. What was thought to be a small illegal mining camp turned out to be a hidden community of over 10,000 inhabitants. Details in this report by Inathalia Kwanzaa. Right to you.
The Subri River Forest Reserve in Ghana's western region lies a hidden community, a sprawling illegal mining settlement known as Abewa. Home to more than 10,000 people, it has grown far beyond a makeshift village. This is no ordinary encampment. It's a full-blown enclave with its own shadow economy, one sustained by child prostitution, drug abuse, counterfeit operations, and suspected human trafficking. In a dawn raid, a joint task force made up of military personnel and the Forestry Commission stormed the enclave. What they expected to be a hideout for about 2,000 illegal miners turned out to be a bustling community with over 10,000 inhabitants, many of them foreign nationals from Nigeria, Guinea, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali.
This place, it's an eyesore. The place is full of illegal miners with all manner of activities within this community. We've seen incidents of child trafficking, child prostitution, drug abuse, money laundering, counterfeit, you name them. And we are getting nationals from all over the sub-region. It appears this community is a representation of ECOWAS. You can tell that there is no place within the community that they are mining. They are mining in the Subri Forest Reserve. And the effect on the impact of the illegal mining on the forest is very devastating.
Among those found were trafficked girls from Nigeria, lured with false promises and forced into the sex trade. Young boys were also discovered, many addicted to substances like tramadol. The team says this is just the beginning. The operation will continue for the next 2 weeks as authorities vow to dismantle the entire settlement and reclaim the forest reserve.
It's not going to be a 9-day one, as I said. We are going to be here for nearly 2 weeks and make sure the last illegal miner is rid from this community.
As Ghana's forests come under increasing threat from illegal mining, Abewa stands as a stark reminder of how deep-rooted and dangerous the crisis has become.
The Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Kofi-Boa, has issued a stern warning to people who are involved in illegal mining that the mining activities within forest reserves and water bodies will be met with severe consequences. Speaking at the passing out ceremony of the Blue Water Guards, the minister reaffirmed the government's commitment to protecting Ghana's natural resources.
Any attempt to mine gold in our forest reserve and our water bodies will be a deadly business. And we mean it. To achieve this, we will identify and reward excellence. We are talking about a program of excellent mining. Special program is being established to provide phase support, technical training, access to financing, and advanced equipment to small-scale miners who will adhere to sustainable practices to expand their operations responsibly and legally.
This is still JoyNews Prime. We'll take a break here. We'll be back with more. Please don't go away. Welcome back from the break. Now, environmental officers at the Ablekuma West Municipal Assembly are raising alarm over attacks from armed scavengers who have taken over an illegal dump site in the municipality. The Bebu Glefe Yesi area has been engulfed by filth done by tricycle or Aboboya riders for the past 4 years. The Municipal Environmental Health Officer, Samuel Tete, says they are helpless in fighting the impasse because not even military presence is deterring the armed scavengers who have converted the Ramsar site into a hail of waste. James Aveji has been with the Parliamentary Committee on Sanitation and Water Resources, who are currently on a tour of some assemblies in Accra, and has come through this report.
This is Bebu Glifek Begbese, where, as you see behind me, heaps of refuse have piled up. And you see there some scavengers trying to sort some of them out. I mean, this has been discovered here as part of the Committee on Sanitation and Water Resources visit to the various assemblies. And this is the Ablekuma West constituency or assembly, where this, we understand, has been ongoing for a number of years now.
This is an illegal dump site. Illegal because it has not been authorized. People took the laws into their own hands just to be dumping.
How long has this been going on?
I would say since 2021. Military came in on about 3 occasions.
Have they been arrested? Have they been?
Yes, in fact, like I said, we seized 50 tricycles, no less than 50 tricycles. Honorable, as I speak right now, the people have machetes and even guns. They are protecting. They are armed.
They have guns on the side.
Yes, they are armed. You know.
To take care of all of this.
The last proposal we wrote, something around 7 million Ghana cedis.
Yes. Some of the youth who are trying to sort a few of the things out. You see there the gentleman trying to separate a few things. Aiko, Chief, how be?
Everything cool.
How is it going?
Everything cool by the grace of God.
The business side of it, in a day, if you are able to work the whole day, how much personally do you get from this?
You see something. More times, if you are working and you are not supposed to tell someone what you have been earning a day or something. But little drop of water make a mighty ocean. The small that you have been getting, you have been managing. But I cannot tell you that.
I'm sure that the little is mighty in a day.
Because the thing is that if you don't work, you don't get.
It can afford at least three meals in a day.
Sometimes cannot afford, but we have been trying. That's boy. If you are a man, then you have to try for it. But
what exactly did you come to Accra to do before?
That one, we'll talk it about.
It's a long story.
Yeah.
So what's your name?
My name is Isaiah Bright.
The session with staff of the Wager Municipal Assembly didn't happen because assembly staff were hesitant in providing the committee with the needed information. The committee has therefore summoned them to Parliament. Member of the committee, an MP for Mampong, Kweku Amprichum Sapon believes government must open up the sanitation sector to other players in order to break the monopoly and deal with the infractions that have been raised by the various assembly in the last 2 days.
It is like Zoom Lion has become mega, and has taken control of everything. There appears to be no competitor. Contract signed has always been with Zoom Lion, and he has no challenger. So he do things his own way. I believe that if the sector is open up, the sanitation sector and the business relationship between government and we have other players coming on board, I bet we will see some improvement.
Chairman of the committee, John Uti Bless, has indicated that the committee will be meeting the majority leader to hold discussions on their findings.
We are meeting leadership tomorrow by 10:30 a.m. In the majority leader's office. We're meeting with them. Then possibly meet with the sector minister. I've called and he said he'll be returning the call. As you've heard, they are busy with meetings with the traditional and religious bodies today. So we'll be meeting with him and come up with a date.
From the Ablekuma West Assembly here in Accra, my name is James Savage for Joy News.
Well, the Tamale timber market fire on January 6th destroyed goods worth millions and left traders with nothing but ashes. It's a familiar tragedy repeating across the country with little action or accountability. As part of our series, Breaking the Fire Cycle, Martina Bugri returns to the market to find out if any lessons have been learned.
The effect of the Tamale timber market fire is still lingering as some affected traders are still awaiting for support to rebuild their stores which were destroyed by the fire. This incident is part of a larger trend of fire disasters that has affected the region. Master Suli, a trader at the timber market, said since the fire outbreak, nothing has changed.
And then up to date, we couldn't hear anything from anybody. Our leaders, especially the politicians, nobody come to this market to visit and see what is happening.
Abdul Rahman Adam is one of the affected. He said life has become unbearable for him and his family.
As at now, we are not able to even build our own. This is the place that I'm getting small to build, to feed my family. So up to now, they are not giving even our tools. I don't have tools to do work. I have to buy new tools, and then money is not there.
Another carpenter at the market, Ibrahim Mutokil, said it was difficult feeding his family whilst waiting to get back to work.
To feed our family was a problem. And even some of our machines, we couldn't repair it. Some are here. It is broken down. So lack of financial support.
It is not only the market that nothing has changed. The fire service mandated to tackle fire situations in the region said they are still grappling with over 8 fire tenders, shortage of water, among others. Public Relations Officer of the service, Baba Hudu, speaks.
We would say that it has not changed in terms of logistics and other challenges that we face. Everybody in the country agrees and knows that the Ghana National Fire Service over the period is faced with a lot of challenges. Challenges stemming from AG fire tenders, logistics, other firefighting equipment. And we can also talk about sources of water for firefighting.
The service needs to be retooled to help address fire incidents.
The oldest vehicle we have in the system and in the region is 25 years. That tender or fire tender is 28 years. It was procured in 2000 till date. As we speak today, that vehicle has not been revived yet.
Well, away from that, the Ghana Water Limited in the Ashanti region is justifying the recent upward adjustment in water tariff as it cites heavy cost of treating water impacted by illegal mining activities. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has announced a 4.02% increase on water tariff for all categories of consumers effective May 1, 2025. Regional Manager of the Ghana Water Limited in Ashanti, Hansen Mensa Akute, explains that the exorbitant cost of treatment and aging infrastructure are among reasons for the new adjustment. He's been speaking with David Akwete on Love FM in Kumasi.
Irrespective of the quality of water, you must be able to provide the compliance requirements as the standard determines that you do. So that one to come with the costs, because we have to import chemicals from not within the country but externally, and require forex or foreign capital to do that importations. Currently, most of the resources or revenue that we get is just basically for operational and some field maintenance costs. Our capital costs is difficult to actually pay for because the government has subsidized that portion in a sense that what happens is we are not able to charge realistic tariff for people to pay. Because if we want to do that, it means that seriously we have to increase the tariff beyond what the PRC gives us.
So is that to say that this 4.0, 5% is not enough? The adjustment, the increase,
the government has cushioned the consumers so much with a tariff increase to give us 4.0.
Meanwhile, Mr. Akute is charging the government to intensify efforts to ward off illegal miners on the Offin River. He says the river, which is now under threat of the illegal mining activity, is a savior as it serves as the largest water source to the Barakesi treatment plant.
Yeah, we've done all those assessments. Unfortunately, the largest volume is coming from the Offin River. The largest volume is coming. So the Offin River is a savior for Ashanti. If you don't protect it and it goes off, it means that technically Barakesi will be down, the whole Ashanti as well is down.
What's the state of the Offin River right now?
Currently, Offin River has moved from what we call, if you do what we call the water quality index of the water, there's a scale for assessing the quality of the water in terms of the river health of the water. If you run those parameters, you realize that we have what we call very poor, good, and then maybe better, and then excellent. Barakesi lies within the good range, in the middle portion, which means that it was at an excellent, very good point, but it has dropped to good, indicating that the state of pollution there is increasingly going higher.
You're still watching JoyNews Prime. We'll take a break here. We will be back with Showbiz with the lady, Becky Beck. Stay on. We'll be back.